Hi, this is Susan from Susan B. Cards. Today I'm going to use some solar paste, a piece of black cardstock, and an embossing folder. This one is from Spellbinders. I'll link it in the description below the video. I've done this process before, but just recently I put some of the solar paste on a black piece of cardstock just because it's running near the end of the jars and they're starting to get a little dried out. So rather than let it go bad, I decided to use the solar paste, and I put it on one of these pieces of black cardstock and ended up just saving it, putting it aside, because it didn't look that great to me. But I also knew that once it dried and I embossed it, which I've done before, it would probably look pretty good. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to, I just use the same flat sponge and I just wipe it off on a paper towel in between colors. And that's never been a problem. So that previous color was Crocodile Tears. This one is called Golden Hour. So I just randomly like to put it down. Unfortunately, I had some of the, what's this one called? Cross My Heart, which is kind of like a pink color. And this one did dry out, which was what got me to try to use my solar paste up. Probably because I used a good portion of it. You can see there's just a little bit on the bottom, but it's hard. Once it gets like that, you can't rejuvenate it or anything. It's just done. This one is called Beluga. I'm just going to put a little bit more. This is an iridescent paste, and when you put it on white, you really can't see it very well. But on black, you can really see the color. And it has a pretty white cast to it, which makes this technique so pretty. Now you could do the same thing with the lunar paste, but I feel like the white kind of makes it look kind of even prettier. Now this one is purple, and it is called Royal Flush. And then the last color I have is Overheated, which is orange. So I'm going to wipe this off. This one looks really pretty. Just like that color in there. The Spellbinders embossing folder ends up being half a sheet of the paper, and this paper I cut 5 1/2, and then it's 8 1/2. So that'll end up being the whole thing, and then I can cut it down later if I decide that I don't want to use it. I think I'm going to just try adding a couple more, just dots here and there. That's probably going to be a little more interesting. And I think I'm going to add a little bit of the yellow, just because these colors are a little bit lighter than the purple, green, and blue that I have. So I'll just add a little bit here and there. So you can see this paper isn't all that pretty, but once it dries, I'll show you what it looks like, and then I'll show you how I emboss it. So I'm going to go wash my utensils, let this dry, and I'll be back. The solar paste is dry on this piece of paper, but I'm going to go ahead and cut this down because I know that I'm not going to use a piece of cardstock this big. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this down to 4 1/4, which is half this sheet. So these are the 2 pieces I have. Just going to take a look to see what each of these would look like. This one has more green in it. This one has not so many big sections. I think I'm going to go ahead and use this. So I'm going to do the blackout technique, which you've probably seen already, where you emboss the paper with the back side. So this is the front side. It has a Spellbinders logo here. This is the back to me, and it's where the image is popped up. This side is recessed, so the back has it popped up. So I'm going to put my paper in this way, and that way the embossing folder will press the image into the paper. So I just want to look at it, see what the flowers are going to look like. I want to get a few of the entire flowers. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to run this through and I'll be right back. I ran it through, and this is what the embossed paper looks like. It's pretty. I really like the way that looks, but I think when you see the ink on top, you'll see how the colors really stand out. Just going to get a piece of scrap paper here. And this time I'm going to use black Archival ink. And then I just rub it over. I get a little ink on my hands. Now this isn't going to dry right away, so you need to let this sit for a little bit. Archival ink stays wet. It's good for using as an embossing ink because it stays wet. So I'm going to let this dry, but you can see how pretty that image is and how it really stands out now that I've inked up the background. You can see a couple spots where I could use a little bit more ink. Just going to go in there and do that. And there it is. It's so pretty. The first time I did it, I used the full sheet just because I had this sheet already painted with the solar paste. But I think this works really the best when there's a lot of image, just a little bit of background. I think it also works well with whimsical looking images. I think I have another one here. So here's one that I have that I use for a demonstration. And I have a video on this one, I'm pretty sure. So I originally did it this way, where I put ink on the embossing folder on the top of the embossing folder, and then I press the black ink into the background. So I had this sitting on my desk for a long time because I had already made a card with it, but I thought, I wonder what it looks like if I do the blackout technique. And I really like the way that it made the flowers stand out, like here, and the leaves. You can see how it looks on this side. So it's a bit different. I think this looks really pretty with these colors. You don't need all of them. You know, here's the green. I think I probably didn't need the green as much. If you did something with the orange color, like, which is here, if you had the pink color, which I didn't have, the purple looks good, the blue looks good, but either of those could be substituted for each other. But I think that looks great. So I'm going to make a card out of this. So that's it for now. If you're interested in any of the products I use, I'll list them below the video and on my blog at susanbcards.blogspot.com. Thanks for watching.